Hello, this is Edna White. I am so glad you're with me today. Today we're going to talk about workplace burnout, how it looks different for black women. Now, I know we all hear these things and there is reflection around it, but I'm going to share with you what most of us black women don't really talk about and we should talk about. So, and I want to share for us what the workplace burnout really looks like for us. In a white dominant world, right, or culture, the concept of burnout is traditionally attributed to workload and stress. It is classified as an occupational phenomenon by almost all the health organizations. It's said to be caused by a chronic workplace stress that has been not managed effectively. And many companies have started implementing wellness strategies, but it's still not a widespread practice. And for people of color and black women in particular, addressing burnout requires going far beyond workload and stress reduction. First, I want to dive into the most common advice we hear about burnout. The Harvard Business Review often offers a fairly extensive list of suggestions for helping your team to manage burnout when you feel burnt out. Making your health a priority is at the top of the list, which is fair. The article suggests tracking workplace stress as a group, like group meditation, that kind of stuff. Expressing compassion to your team, advocating for your team, setting a good example, and being a source of optimism. But here's the caveat to that. Many say all these great things, do it once and never do it again, exhibit so-called compassion, say those words that your health is important, but do not advocate for you as a team to get some rest, to create a day that there is rest, that there is a mental health day when that happens, when you advocate for the team all together, and by setting a good example and being the real source of optimism, not for just the moment, but for the whole time, the whole term. But as we mentioned, burnout for black women and black people, women and women of color in particular, goes beyond simply managing workload and stress. So I'm going to address some of those things. Okay, I'm going to talk to you about black women and burnout. Now, the core reason why black women are more likely to experience burnout is that the spectrum of what they deal with regularly at work expands way past their white colleagues. When black women were asked about burnout as part of a study from Black Women Thriving Research, I'm going to show you the results of that. 78% of black women reported that they sometimes, rarely, or never have the ability to go home at the end of the workday with an energy in reserve. 88% of black women sometimes have often or always experienced burnout, but never say anything about it or never do anything about it. And just a caveat to this, if you're going home and all you're doing is sleeping, you're burnt out. Coupled with those burnout factors are these additional identified based stressors. 72% of black women engage in code switching. Now, what's that, white people? Code switching is a persona that you want them to act like so that they can be accepted in the workforce, in the workplace. So you put on this facade, and that takes a lot of work. Then, less than 50% of the black women believe that they can talk about race without negative consequences, and only 41% think they can raise the issue of anti-blackism. So that's even tough. Claiming not to be black, not to talk about black, not to share your experiences when conversations come up, all code switching, not to want to offend someone, all code switching. Well, not someone. Let's just say the white people, because your job may be in jeopardy. This data shows that black women are dealing with microaggressions, biases, sexism, racism, and carrying immense emotional loads as one of few mentors or safe spaces for BIPOC colleagues. Now, I've experienced microaggressions. I experienced biases. But there's also a new syndrome that no one's talking about, the queen bee syndrome, where you have a supervisor and they know your leadership quality, they put you down, they give you no work, they disregard you, they don't even say your name. The queen bee syndrome. I'd like to add that to that. Anyway, so what can organizations do about it? We dive deep into the root causes of burnout in black women in the workplace and offer tangible, actionable steps that organizations can take to ensure black women, female women, feel as though they have a space to breathe. Since burnout is an organizational problem, it requires organizational responses. One recommendation I want to highlight is explore shutting down once or twice a year as an organization, continually, not just one time. Set up something outside of faith-based holidays, executive, days, any days like that. Set up a day just for this, on no holidays, nothing outside of all of that. And do this. The executives must model and support the decision. They cannot not come. They have to be part of it. Because if you want this, you have to be able to be sincere, and sincerity is actions. This recommendation is essential for black women who feel pressure to meet or exceed work culture norms and work ethics that often pass them beyond their limits, as seen by the data that we just talked about. See, black women work doubly hard to prove themselves in their workplace, whereas a white woman does 50% less than that. And they're admonished, and then they're glorified. Well, we have to work doubly hard to get maybe one look, and if we do one mistake, that outweighs all the work we've done. Pressure, stress, burnout. I know you're going to think it's impossible. Organizations as big as, the Fortune 500 companies and small, tiny nonprofit organizations, guess what? Some are doing it right now. So it's not impossible. It's showing that the culture cares diversity, equity, and inclusion. They're not just saying it, they're doing it. They're putting it in action, and the executives are doing it as well. They're becoming part of a culture that cares. I invite you today to dig deep into your organization. Address some of the burnout with your manager, team manager, with your executive director, with your, whoever your supervisor is. And find a practical solution. Because I want to say to you, in final note, we gain stress intergenerationally and generationally that we don't even know we have. So we're stressed already. I want you to work on this, and I invite you to dig deeper. Bye for now.